In today's hyper-connected world, stories can go viral in seconds, spreading across continents with just a few taps on a screen. News, rumors, and opinions travel faster than ever before, reaching millions before anyone has a chance to verify the facts. This rapid-fire sharing often blurs the line between fact and fiction, making it harder for people to distinguish what's real from what's simply sensational. Recently, a sensational rumor swept across social media. Canada and Mexico were supposedly working together in secret, building a massive energy and trade corridor designed to bypass the United States entirely. The story claimed this corridor would sidestep Trump's border wall and tariffs, creating a direct link between the two countries. Dramatic headlines and eye-catching maps depicted a hidden network of railways and pipelines, supposedly allowing goods and energy to flow freely between Canada and Mexico, leaving the US isolated and out in the cold. The story resonated with many because it tapped into real anxieties about trade wars, shifting alliances, and the future of North American cooperation. People wondered if the balance of power was truly changing. It painted a vivid picture of Canada and Mexico quietly rebelling against American economic pressure, hinting at a new era where the US might no longer be the indispensable hub of the continent. But as with many viral tales, the truth was far less dramatic. The story's foundation was built on digital fabrication, not reality. Cleverly edited images and misleading headlines fueled the fire. So, what's really going on behind the headlines? To find out, we need to look past the noise and dig into the facts, separating fiction from reality in a world where viral stories can shape perceptions overnight. The secret corridor story was quickly and thoroughly debunked by both government officials and diligent journalists. Within hours of the rumor gaining traction online, fact-checkers and reporters began investigating the claims, cross-referencing official records and reaching out to authorities for clarification. Newsrooms across the country worked to separate speculation from reality, determined to prevent misinformation from spreading further. Canadian government spokesperson Jason Kung called the idea entirely unfounded, reaffirming Canada's commitment to its established trade partnerships under the USMCA. He emphasized that Canada values transparency and open communication with its trading partners, and that any major infrastructure project would be subject to public scrutiny and international agreements. The rumor's core premise, that a physical bypass was needed to avoid US tariffs, ignored the reality that goods in transit aren't subject to such fees. Trade experts pointed out that the USMCA already provides clear guidelines for cross-border commerce, and that existing customs procedures are designed to ensure fair and legal trade between the three countries. No multi-billion-dollar corridor was being built. The economic logic simply didn't add up. Economists and policy analysts reviewed the available data and found no evidence of secret construction or hidden investments. The costs, logistics, and political risks of such a project would far outweigh any potential benefits. The viral story originated from a July 2025 YouTube video, which cleverly mixed real trade tensions with AI-generated maps and fabricated details. The video's slick production and convincing visuals made it easy for viewers to mistake fiction for fact, especially as it was quickly shared across social media platforms. This is a classic case of AI slop, misinformation that looks credible but isn't. As artificial intelligence tools become more advanced, it's getting harder to distinguish between genuine news and cleverly crafted fakes, making critical thinking and media literacy more important than ever. The myth spread because it tapped into real concerns about North American trade, but the actual strategies of Canada and Mexico involve open diplomacy and legitimate projects, not secret tunnels. Leaders from all three countries continue to meet regularly, working together to address trade challenges through negotiation and cooperation. The corridor was fiction, but the anxieties it exploited are very real. Business owners, workers, and everyday citizens are genuinely concerned about the future of trade, jobs, and economic stability in the region, making them more vulnerable to sensational stories. Let's look at the real trade tensions fueling these rumors and explore how facts can help us navigate a world where fiction often travels faster than the truth. The myth of a secret corridor may be false, but it's rooted in a real sense of unease that has gripped North America in recent years. The trade tensions that inspired such stories are all too real, shaping the way nations interact and fueling uncertainty across borders. Under President Trump, U.S. trade policy shifted sharply toward protectionism, straining long-standing relationships with both Canada and Mexico, and upending decades of economic cooperation. The renegotiation of NAFTA into the USMCA was a contentious process, marked by heated debates and high-stakes brinkmanship. The threat of tariffs became a constant tool of leverage, hanging over every negotiation. Earlier this year, the US imposed a steep 35% tariff on certain Canadian goods, sending shockwaves through industries that rely on cross-border trade. In response, Canada retaliated with a 25% tariff on US-made cars, escalating the standoff and putting thousands of jobs at risk on both sides of the border. Meanwhile, Mexico received a temporary reprieve from new tariffs, creating a divide-and-conquer dynamic within the trading bloc, and leaving Canada feeling isolated. This uneven pressure forced Canada and Mexico to reconsider their strategies, pushing them to seek new ways to protect their economies and assert their interests. As a result, the two countries began to strengthen their own partnership, exploring joint initiatives and closer economic ties to counterbalance US influence. The constant threat of tariffs and ongoing disputes over trade rules have made North American trade more unpredictable than ever, disrupting supply chains and rattling markets. Businesses and governments alike are left questioning the reliability of the US as a partner, unsure of what the next policy shift might bring. In this climate of uncertainty and suspicion, it's no wonder that rumors of secret alliances and hidden corridors continue to take root, capturing the imagination of a region searching for stability. Strip away the conspiracy theories, and you'll find that Canada and Mexico are indeed deepening their partnership, but in the open. In 2023, they launched the Canada-Mexico Action Plan, a framework to boost cooperation in trade, energy, and supply chain resilience. Prime Minister Mark Carney's government now sees Mexico as a key strategic partner, aiming to reduce Canada's dependence on the US. The focus is on building resilient supply chains and nearshoring critical industries, lessons learned from recent global disruptions. This includes joint efforts in electric vehicle production and securing essential goods. Their partnership is a rational response to economic uncertainty, not a secret plot. By working together, they're creating a stronger secondary axis in North America, openly and pragmatically. In a world of trade wars, having more than one reliable friend is essential. So what real projects are actually happening between Canada and Mexico? The Canada-Mexico partnership is being built with real infrastructure, not secret corridors. Canadian energy firms are partnering with Mexican companies to develop pipelines and LNG terminals, connecting Canadian gas to Mexican industry and global markets. Canadian pension funds are investing heavily in Mexico's renewable energy sector, financing solar farms and battery storage. These investments help Mexico transition to clean energy while providing returns for Canadians. Some projects even involve the US, like the Oniok pipeline expansion from Texas to Mexico, showing that North American energy integration is complex and multi-directional. Rather than bypassing the US, these projects create a web of connections across all three countries. The real story is one of open investment and strategic alignment, not clandestine schemes. These projects are shaping the future of North American trade and energy. But Canada's ambitions go even further, beyond the continent. Canada's partnership with Mexico is just one part of a broader strategy to reduce its reliance on the US. Recent tariff disputes have pushed Canada to diversify its trade, especially with Asia and Europe. Major infrastructure projects like the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion and the LNG Canada terminal now allow Canadian oil and gas to reach global markets directly. These projects signal Canada's ambition to become a major player in the world energy trade, not just a supplier to the US. Both major political parties support building the infrastructure needed for economic independence. The real story is Canada's drive to control its own economic destiny. But there's a crucial challenge at home: Indigenous rights. Canada's infrastructure ambitions face a major hurdle: the constitutional rights of Indigenous peoples. Projects like pipelines and corridors cross traditional territories, requiring meaningful consultation and often consent from First Nations, Métis, and Inuit communities. Indigenous leaders have strongly opposed any top-down approach, insisting on partnership and respect for their rights. The history of failed projects shows that ignoring Indigenous voices leads to conflict and delay. Successful projects, like the LNG Canada terminal, have involved benefit-sharing agreements with affected First Nations. Building national infrastructure is as much about reconciliation as engineering. Any plan that ignores Indigenous rights is doomed to fail. The viral corridor story is a case study in how misinformation spreads today. Such stories thrive because they tap into real fears and offer simple, dramatic solutions to complex problems. Social media algorithms amplify sensational content, making it seem more credible as it spreads. The rise of AI-generated slop makes it even harder to tell fact from fiction. This flood of convincing fakes threatens to drown out real journalism and erode public trust. Media literacy is now essential. Question sources, look for corroboration, and be wary of stories that seem too perfect. The Secret Corridor was a fiction, but the lesson is real. Skepticism is our best defense in the information age. In a world of viral rumors, the truth is often less dramatic but far more important. Stay curious and stay critical.